Hey, welcome to the Autopsy of Unwise Choices, a journey we're going to take into the crossroads of life and the consequences that follows. I'm your host, P.D. Ware, bringing you nearly 2 decades of experience from the deaf industry. Each episode, we will dissect the real-life stories and peel back the layers of decisions that have been leading our youth to unfortunate ends. Our mission, to illuminate the path of wiser choices for our youth. So let's embark on this journey together, because every choice tells a story. Are you ready to listen? Hey, welcome to the Autopsy of Unwise Choices. I'm your host, P.D. Ware, and I am thankful that you're joining me today for episode number 5. And today we're going to talk about association. One of the biggest issues that I've heard from educators, parents that I've spoken with about their kids is who they spend their time with. And so we're going to dive into why that's so important. For me, association is number 2 on my list of the most important things as far as when I talk about what has created levels of success in my life. And it's hard sometimes to get our kids to realize that even if you're just hanging out, like who you associate yourself with can define your life in either a positive way or a negative way. And so a lot of times it's not important as you think it is to want to try to fit in. So you're hanging out with a certain individual or you're hanging out with certain groups of people. Because from my experience in a lot of cases that I've seen, there are so many kids that are doing the right thing, that are making the right decisions. But when it comes to who they're associating with, and it doesn't even have to be a long-term thing. It could be, oh, I'm going to hang out with them today. And that day is the day that changed their life forever. And in many cases that I've seen, it didn't turn out well at all. And you have these kids that have recognized their potential, that are doing the things that's expected. They're taking care of their responsibilities at home. They're obeying the parents. They're doing what's asked of them. They're excelling in the classroom. They're excelling in being their authentic selves. But for some reason, they feel like they have to be linked up with these people. And sometimes it's who they grew up with. Oh man, we've been hanging out for years. That's been my neighbor. We've been knowing each other since we was little bitty kids. And I'm here to tell you kids that it's okay that the structure that you have is leading you in a different direction. It's okay to let go. It's okay to let go because sometimes if you are holding hands with someone or you walking so close to someone, and let's say if you're holding hands, it's okay to let go because at that fork in the road, you choose to continue to do the right thing and you know that they're doing the wrong thing. It's okay if you're walking side by side, you're going up together. There'll come a point where you get to a door that only one person can go through at a time. And you're trying to squeeze and drag that person through that door with you. Let it go. There have been so many lives lost due to who our kids associate with. Even as adults, like who you spend your time with. There's a quote that's saying, "You show me your 5 closest friends, I'll show you your future." You want to have a steady state of progression in life, and sometimes that means letting people go that's not going to be beneficial to you. And it's okay to know that at certain parts of your journey, and that could even be family members. It doesn't even have to be a friend. It could be a family member. that's doing negative things that could negatively impact you, because it doesn't have to be life ending, but a major life changing event. Oh man, my dad used to tell me one of the things he would always say is that one mistake could set you back a lifetime. So be mindful of who you spend your time with. Be mindful of who you're listening to, what you're listening to, what you're allowing to come in to your mind can alter the decisions that you make. And we want our kids to make wise choices. You see, the title says the autopsy of unwise choices, how these unwise choices are sending our kids to unfortunate ends way before it's time for them to leave this earth. And I promise you, I just don't believe that that's the purpose for them to be here. And so when we look at the associations that kids have, you can see like the different paths, but for some reason that holds. So drop a comment on what do you feel like is causing some of our kids to associate with the wrong people. Like, what do you feel in your heart? What have you seen in some of the kids that you've either mentored, you've been in the presence of, even as a parent? Like, what is the pull that the negative association has on our kids today? I want to know if you would drop it, do a comment on the podcast and let me know what you feel like. Or you can send me an email at pdwordinspires@gmail.com. But I really want to know what your thoughts are, because when we look at it, and I'm going to share a story, something as simple as going to a convenience store. You got a young man that grew up childhood friend, and he just wants to get to the corner store. It ain't but 5 minutes, 5 minutes from the house. Hey, it's just 5 minutes. I'm just going to the store to get some snacks. I just need some chips and some candy and a drink, and I'm good for the night. I'm gonna be in the house. I'm not going out after that to do nothing. I ain't hanging out with nobody. But that 5 minutes totally changed his life, because when they pulled up to the store, he gets out, his friend gets out. Then I'm sure they're laughing and joking all the way to the store. But what he didn't know is that those 5 minutes would create a scenario where he's running for his life. Those chips, flaming hot Cheetos, candy, now laters, jungle juice, was still at the crime scene. All because of a decision to go to the store, not knowing that the 5 minutes he will be running for his life. And that's a long time, 5 minutes, when you running for your life. Then your life runs out on a cold slab of pavement. It's heartbreaking to have to tell a mom. She's always told him, I know you love, but he's just not, don't get in the car with him. But in that moment, we just going to the store. We're just going to the store, mom. Store runs don't hurt. In this case, the store run heals. And so as I think about how many more stories there are like that, like how do we appeal into the minds of our kids how important association is? And I tell people, in order for growth, You have to be uncomfortable sometimes. It's when you're around people that's going to make you grow, that's going to get you outside of your comfort zone. It's not going to be a pleasant experience, but it's necessary. There's a quote that says, no pressure, no diamonds. The process that diamonds go through, man, go about the process. But when I think about diamonds and I think about some of our kids that like to wear jewelry, and sometimes we know it's not real, but just the thought process around the jewelry itself, and like the process, like knowing the process of what it takes for the diamond to be created, like how it starts out and the process that it goes through. But the people that we choose to associate ourselves with, man, could either open doors or open coffins, caskets in today's modern time. And I want our kids to be inspired, to want to grow, to want to get better. And even as adults, I know we struggle with that, with who we associate with, because the norm, and it could be something as simple as who we work with every day. And so just because you're in an environment where you're physically in somebody's presence, maybe you have to come up with different things to do. So maybe that is through what you listen to, what you're allowing to come in uh, to your mind through your earwaves. And so if you have someone that is making positive strides that you have access to, tap into it. Like, pick their brain as often as you can to gather information. There are so many people, and I tell our kids, you have to realize there are so many people that have been where you are today that can help you navigate what you're going through down that road, because a lot of them think that they have to go through certain experiences to get toughness, because this is what I've seen, this is what I've experienced, this is what it has to be done in order for me to fulfill my purpose in life. This is the road that I gotta walk. And that's not true. Just because parents walk a certain road, and most parents, if we're honest, we don't want our kids to go down the same path. We don't want them to not experience what it is to have to go through growing pains, but we definitely don't want them to have to walk some of the same roads that we walked. Not any parent that I know that wants their kids to be successful, that wants their kids to have great things in life. And I'm not talking about great things as in everything that's financial, but just have like peace of mind, that has confidence, that is thankful, that's grateful, that's compassionate towards people, themselves, their family, and others that they come in contact with, that they make positive contributions to this world because they have the ability to do so. But the associations that we keep sometimes kind of blinds us to the reality of what our potential and what our purpose may be. And so, my encouragement is that we really think about who we choose to spend our time with, who we choose to give our energy to, and who we're allowing to pour into our lives. And do a self assessment. Is it a negative transaction or is it a positive transaction? And not only that, think about what each of those transactions will create in your life. So, for example, for me, going into the field of mortuary science was an awesome decision for me. And it created an opportunity for me to connect with some amazing people and an amazing family that taught me so much. And I'm still learning today because I'm willing to learn because I know that you can never learn everything that there is, not even in a lifetime. And so I am still learning so much today, and not only learning, but continuing to sharpen my skill sets to get better because that's my goal is to get better. And so as I journey through my life, not only am I being mindful of the associations that I have in front of me physically, but also like doing things like personal development coaching, having somebody that can help me continue to elevate my life because I know I don't have all the answers to everything. And so I've had a family that has poured into me in so many different ways on a positive transaction level that it continues to yield results. So everything that I learned in the mortuary setting was a positive transaction that opened doors for me in the forensic setting, starting out as an autopsy technician and then moving on to investigations and even moving briefly into anatomical program administrator. All of the association that I started with created and poured into me positive things that allowed me to continue to progress upward and not go down a downward slope. And so I'm mindful of who I listen to, who I watch, and who I'm in the presence of. And I encourage our kids, I encourage our parents to do the same. Because even keep in mind as well that even with our kids, the impressions that we make, because they see what we're doing. So even if we're hanging out as the parents, as the adults with someone, they understand. They can pick up conversation. They know when we're not involved in positive associations. And so because they're seeing that, that's something that they may want to take part of as well. Oh, mom, dad, they're doing it. So it's got to be okay. Even though they told me, no, you don't hang out. You don't do what I do. But how contradictory is that? Because we're saying one thing and we're showing them another. And that may have worked back in our times, but nowadays, your walk got to match your talk. Otherwise, they ain't gonna hear nothing that you want to say. And we don't want that for our kids because we've seen where that can lead them to. And I want as many of our kids to be able to have healthy and positive associations as they can. And as the old saying goes, iron sharpens iron. That's true. You'll never get better just staying in simplistic situations or situations or relationships that are not going to stretch you, that are not going to help facilitate growth in your life. As painful as that is, think about everything that you had to learn from a child, for my adults going into adulthood. The possibilities are endless, but you're put in a position in order to be able to facilitate that growth. And we have to show our kids sometimes what healthy associations look like and explain to them why it's important that we have healthy associations and the negative consequences that can come from having unhealthy associations. And it could be, we're a lot of times we don't think about the situations that we could be in, There's a story, and I did a post on this on one of my social media pages. There was a up and coming athlete, and I mean, he worked so hard, phenomenal skill set, phenomenal skill set, and it all was gone like that because of who he had chose to associate himself with. So we have to get to the point where we make those uncomfortable decisions that the path that you're supposed to walk, some people can't come with you. And that's hard for our kids. So how do we navigate that? Drop me a comment and let me know your thoughts on the association that our kids have. Like, why are they drawn to negative associations? And sometimes, why is it so difficult to get them to listen about the importance of association? I appreciate you all joining me today, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Seeing you on our next episode. Be blessed. Thank you so much for joining the Autopsy Unwise Choices, where today's stories are more than just cautionary tales. They're beacons guiding our youth towards better decisions. And remember, the choices that they make today shape their tomorrows. So if today's episode moved you in any way, then share it with someone who needs to hear these lessons. Follow us at pdwareinspires.com to check out the weekly blog, book speaking engagements, and check out dates for upcoming live events. And remember, until next time, encourage our youth to make choices that pave the way for brighter futures.